Welcome back to another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Austin Long, here with your forecaster, Ben Iaia. And Ben, we've had quite a wild roller coaster with these temperatures lately. What's the deal with this?
Yeah, so after a really frigid week last week and a frigid weekend, I do think that our temperatures will moderate and become above average. But I do see us going back more to an average state.
Yeah, it's been quite a wild ride, but I do enjoy these high temperatures. They've been really pleasant. We got a great episode coming up here. We've got a feature done by Gavin Sandel on skiing, and I'm sure you're ready to go into your nature in the news stories.
A winter favorite outdoor activity in parts of New England is experiencing a business boom. Backcountry skiing is a large portion of the northern New Hampshire economy, but can the industry survive much longer? Alpine skiing has seen a boom in activities with a 16% increase in annual skiers in 2022 and 2023 compared to the previous winter. Despite this increase in engagement, the winters across the entire Northeast have become shorter and less snowy. In New Hampshire's Mount Washington, the average number of days with snow has decreased by 1.7 days per decade between 1931 and 2018. Snowfall totals have also decreased by 8 inches per decade over the same time period. Suffice to say, winters in the Northeast have been getting shorter, and the skiing industry is at risk.
A mismatched island name is slowly becoming a reality. A new study shows that an additional 20% of Greenland's ice sheets have disappeared. Thanks to global warming and climate change, glaciers around Greenland and the Antarctic are retreating and melting. Scientists are estimating that Greenland has lost approximately 5 trillion metric tons of ice since 1992. This, along with melting ice in other places, has led to an increase of the sea level by about half an inch. Looking deeper into the ocean, the new study also accounts for a process called glacial terminus retreat, which accounts for another trillion metric tons of ice lost. This is roughly equivalent to an ice cube covering an area larger than Manhattan and taller than Mount Everest, according to the European Space Agency. Along with the sea level rising, melting also contributes to the warming of other regions around the world. Scientists have overlooked the melting in Greenland since they are still trying to understand the correlation of sea level and warming, along with the climate system as a whole.
Portions of the southeast and midwestern U.S. are gearing up for a noisy spring and summer. Cicada broods 13 and 19 are due to emerge in April and May, then grace a wide swath of the country with their continuous buzzing. Entomologists predict that more than 1 trillion cicadas will emerge from the ground from Iowa in the north and west to Georgia in the south and east. Parts of north and central Illinois and eastern Iowa will experience both broods emerging at the same time, something that has not happened since Thomas Jefferson was president, all the way back in 1803. Generally, one brood of cicadas emerge every year, but this year is special as brood 19 is a 13-year maturity cycle species, while brood 13 is a 17-year maturity cycle. The next time broods 13 and 19 will be fully mature is in 221 years. Since these two broods share overlapping geographic regions, it is possible that this double-up event could create a brand new cicada brood, an extremely rare result from possible crossbreeding between different brood members. Centre County's next cicada brood is due to reach maturity in 2025, which is a part of brood 14, which is native to other regions of the Appalachians.
Another country achieves a huge astronomical accomplishment. On January 19th, Japan became the 5th country to land a spacecraft on the moon. New precision technology has made this landing the most precise landing ever. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency stated that this landing was within a fraction of a mile of their targeted zone, which is a huge leap in progress when compared to about 8 miles. This was possible with vision-based navigation technology, which uses a real-time camera to scan the surface and then compare those images with prior onboard maps. However, this landing did not come without its consequences. It is unknown if the spacecraft landed how it was intended to, which has led to the solar panels along the craft malfunctioning, leaving only the battery to power the craft. Japan hopes that this new pinpoint landing technology will give them a head start in the U.S.-led Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon within 3 years. This is just the beginning of moon landings this year, as the U.S. and China look to launch their own spacecrafts later in the year.
with a warmer weekend on tap. Will that warmer feel bring April-like showers? For Friday, the answer is yes. This low pressure system here is occluded, which means that this main low here is just dying out. So what that means for us is kind of widespread shower activity, especially in the morning here in State College. I think as we go into the afternoon, the weather will begin to dry out and we'll just be left with some overcast skies. But this occluded front will begin to move well away from Pennsylvania. And at this triple point here, you see the purple, blue, and red intersection, that will actually create a new low pressure system somewhere off the coast of New England, somewhere near Cape Cod. Saturday is really the opposite of Friday, where we'll have a dry morning and dry afternoon, well out ahead of our next weather maker located over the central Mississippi Valley. I think the rain will return for Pennsylvania very late on Saturday. So I think if you have any evening plans, I think they'll be mostly dry, just under some overcast skies, just a generally gray, dreary looking day. Sunday is the day that the low pressure system that was over the central Mississippi Valley will be pushing into the Virginias. And with that, more organized rain will be approaching, with the chance for some snow, especially farther north of State College into the Pennsylvania-New York border. I think there could be a little bit of accumulation in the northern tier and Northwest Plateau. No accumulation if we even do see any snow mixed in with this rain here in State College. So breaking it all down, Friday, a high of 53. That's actually 19 degrees above normal. Our average high is 34 degrees, so certainly feeling more like April out there, with just some AM showers and then PM clouds. Friday night, this air mass is so warm that our low is actually higher than the average high for this time of year, if you can actually believe that. Mostly cloudy skies. I think it will be a mostly dry Friday night. Saturday, we'll keep those clouds around with a high of 46, so we are dipping back down to closer to normal, but still well above normal. Saturday night, the rain returns very late, especially toward the midnight hour, with a low of 36. And Sunday, a high of 40, with that rain continuing. It's going to be feeling a lot more like January out there. Gavin Sandel is up next with a feature on weather and skiing.
Winter has officially taken hold, which means these snowy and cold conditions are upon us. And while most of us like to stay indoors and take in the warmth, some of us actually would like to go outside and take their talents to the slopes. The sight of those cruising down a hill is a memory we can all cherish. Since the first days of recreational skiing in the mid-1800s, millions of people have enjoyed skiing and snowboarding across the world, though these two winter sports haven't existed without evolution. The first rope tow, a mechanism to bring riders uphill, was created in 1910. It was soon followed by the chairlift a quarter century later. By the 1950s, snowmaking machines were invented. The introduction of man-made snow changed the dynamic of winter sports forever. The wet bulb temperature, or the temperature of air if it was cooled to saturation, must be below 27.5 degrees Fahrenheit to make snow using most conventional snowmaking machines. If the air is dry enough, the actual temperature can be above freezing while the wet bulb temperature remains below that threshold. With that in mind, resorts in lower latitudes can now create a reasonable skiing season, and those already in business could extend their season and drive in more skiers. Though for anyone who has gotten to know a mountain well enough, they can easily tell the difference between natural and man-made snow. Natural snow starts as a tiny ice crystal in a cloud. As it falls through the air, it slowly forms into a snowflake. Human-made snow's cycle is much quicker. Droplets of water flash freeze into tiny spherical balls of ice. It may look like real snow to the naked eye on a ski run, but the man-made product is much harder and icier. That comes with both benefits and drawbacks. For those with a need for speed, the slicker surface of a man-made slope is the best choice, which is why the past 3 Winter Olympic Games have featured artificial snow. Though this is optimal for professionals, many recreational skiers and snowboarders recommend softer natural snow, as there's a higher risk for injury if one falls on the tougher man-made surface. There are environmental concerns, though. The intake and release of water from large man-made reservoirs is the biggest burden. Snowmaking machines generally require between 300,000 and 400,000 gallons of water per acre of slope, depending on the amount of snow depth. A significant amount of this water is lost due to evaporation and is not returned to the water table. Though the actual cost varies based on resort size, snowmaking accounts for about 50% of a given resort's energy costs. Heading into the future, however, snowmaking may become the norm when it comes to winter sports. According to Climate Central, the 5 places where winters have warmed the most are all northern and cold locations. Burlington, Vermont takes the cake as the city with the highest winter warming, a total of 7 degrees Fahrenheit since 1970. Other cities such as Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and Concord, New Hampshire have heated up by over 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit. The warming climate has also accounted for shortened seasons across the country. Several locations in the Midwest were unable to complete their seasons last winter due to an unusually mild season. Here in Pennsylvania, resorts that have opened earlier in the fall in past years are now trending closer and closer to the new year. From Camelback to Tussey to Seven Springs, Pennsylvania's winter sports hubs have each gone through a bit over half their seasons. Though snowfall totals have been below average statewide, we'll just have to wait and see if Old Man Winter has any more treats for the Commonwealth. For Whether or Not, I'm Gavin Sandel.
We were talking about the spring-like feel for the weekend, but I do see a cool down occurring during the extended, so enjoy it while it lasts. And enjoy it we will. 53 degrees as our high on Friday. That's about 20 degrees above normal. For reference, average for this time of year is 34 degrees, so 19 degrees above average. It's still very warm, feeling like April. Saturday, 13 degrees above average or so, with just mostly cloudy skies. I think that's probably the best day to enjoy the spring-like feel. And then Sunday, that downward trajectory in temperatures continues, feeling a little bit more close to seasonable with a high of 40 and a low of 30 with that rain in place. The downward trajectory continues into Monday and Tuesday, where our high will be 34 degrees, so just perfectly average for this time of year. Monday, with that system that I was talking about on the Sunday map, I think we have a chance to see a little bit of snow showers occurring. I don't think anything's going to accumulate, but certainly snowflakes will be flying around on Monday. Tuesday into Wednesday is when we begin to see a little bit of a warm-up. Our temperatures will be about 40 degrees for each of the days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with Friday and Wednesday being the day that we see sun, which is something that we didn't really talk about too much during our forecast.
And now it's time for your Weather Whiz quiz. Today's question was, what was the highest temperature recorded in January in State College? Was it A, 62 degrees, B, 67 degrees, C, 71 degrees, or D, 74 degrees? If you said C, 71 degrees, you will be correct. That happened all the way back in 1950.
Wow, that was a really long time ago. We're not going to be seeing anything that warm in this upcoming forecast, but 53 degrees is still feeling like April.
I'm going to enjoy these temperatures while it lasts. Not much of a snow lover myself here, but that's going to do it for this week's episode of Whether or Not. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.